Hello, this is Bjarne.
Hello.
And I'm Mike. And over the past couple of weeks, we've been working on some things that we'd like to share with you. We've kind of been focusing on this general concept of behavioral engineering, doing these sort of thought experiments, trying to find ways we can do level design, build level elements for Knoxville that can affect player behavior. It is a fairly complex game in that sense, in that players can do a lot of things. They can behave in many different ways. And we're looking for ways that we can actually exact a little bit of control over that and give some guidance to the player. I think we did the intro.
I think the intro was,
yeah. That's great. So now, behavioral engineering?
Yeah. Well, okay, so behavioral engineering in this context of level design is essentially something that level designers has always been doing. In every game you play, you're sort of being guided around by light cues or sound cues or the promise of a reward. Or maybe it's, the dangers of Damn it! So we've been researching, looking into how we could introduce design elements into the game that, without forcing you to do the thing, could encourage you to make sort of an informed decision about how you want to play the game.
I mean, I think a big thing with Knoxville, at least kind of as we've been figuring out what the core concept of it is, and it really is revolving around this idea of the players having a lot of agency, a lot of choice in how they play, in what they do. So there is no one specific way of playing, and there's no one specific way of behaving.
One thing that's definitely been a key sort of finding for this, or learning, or something we want to keep pushing forward, is to always leave players with a choice of like, how do you want to play Knoxville, and not in a sense, what do you call it, judge players. Sort of say this is a bad player, this is a good player, this is an evil player or a good player.
No. There's no right or wrong.
There's no right or wrong. We want to give you the choice of playing like whatever way you want it, and it should fit into the frame of how the game is. It could be easy for us to just create forced situations, say you have to go here, all of you in a level, and you have to do this, all of you together. But we've, with these sort of experiments, tried to come up with ways of saying you don't have to, but we can encourage it. And I don't know, like an example could be that we've played around with would be sort of a day-night, day or nighttime sort of cycle where you could kind of go, if it's dark and there's light in the level, nighttime might be dangerous and there might be more enemies out there, wolves or whatever, something that is difficult to overcome. So you will seek the safety of the light, but so will other players, and then create a situation where you have to relate to other players. You don't have to, but you probably maybe will. That's sort of like the thing we're working with. Another example we tried out was just saying like, you have a challenge, you meet a challenge that you can overcome it alone. But if you have an ally helping you, you can handle it quicker and better together. But you need to be able to trust each other. So for that we created a labyrinth, and this is not like this sort of very constructed type thing is not going to make it into the game, but it's a very good example of how one player helps the other player, and once you've done that, the other player then hopefully helps the first player back as a sign of trust. And we sort of have the same sort of mechanic in the existing prototype. One player helps the other player up to get some coins, and then has to trust that the other player will give a coin back. And usually they do, I think is our experience, but sometimes some people go up, grab all the coins and take off.
And that's like, I think, a very good example of kind of things we would like to go towards. This thing of, it's really up to the players. It is their choice, and it is not forced, but it plays with all these kind of like actual trust mechanics, right? I mean, you actually have to trust each other. You're not forced to trust each other.